Let's do a little digging in and give you the top 5 revelations of the first half of 2023. Number 5, the Rays have become a super team. This is a club that is still, I remind you, 28th in payroll. You could have 4 Rays teams and still not equal the Mets payroll. But they opened the season at 13-0, 20-3, and were 57-28 through the end of June. They cooled off last week, losing 7 of 8, but they still have the best record in the American League. And check out the last few years of Rays baseball. We've gotten used to this, but this is crazy. Even the old sabermetric Rays of the aughts had their ups and downs, but this will now be 5 straight years in the postseason. At this pace, they will finish with the best record in the American League 3 times in the last 4 years, all while having a bottom 6 payroll. It's a study of excellence that transcends baseball, meaning you can do a lot with a little if you're smart about it. The number 4 revelation, Reds resurgence. Admit it, you didn't think the Reds would lead their division at the All-Star break, nor did you think they'd be the most watchable team in baseball. But they are. If all the Reds did was graduate Elly De La Cruz and have a Joey Votto coming back party, they'd be a fun team. But their solid foundation is so much more than that. They have essentially 6 new full-time position players, all of whom have a 120 OPS plus or better, 100s league average. Matt McClain, TJ Friedl, Spencer Steer, Will Benson, Jake Fraley, and De La Cruz. It's a bumper crop from drafts, signings, trades, all arriving at the same time. De La Cruz, though, is straight out of a video game where you control the tools. StatCast is powered by Google Cloud and dominated by Elly De La Cruz. In just 30 games, he's only played 30 games, he has the fastest average sprint speed, fastest time from home to third. He's thrown at 97 miles per hour across the diamond from third base, and he's hit a ball 116 miles an hour. That's in the top 15 hardest hits. So he's the fastest guy in the sport, has the best arm, hits the ball harder than almost everyone, and he's also hitting .325 with a nice all-around slash line at 21 years of age. Astounding. Now, if you watch this show, you know we pay attention to the economics of the sport. We recognize the clubs that defy the odds winning on a budget, but we also recognize if you got it, spend it. But this year, something puzzling has been happening to the big spenders. The number 3 revelation of the first half is what we've called Malaise Watch, a mystifying malaise that is spread across many of the top payroll clubs, like that bad air coming out of Canada this summer. You don't feel sick, but you don't feel so good either. The Mets and Padres are their own entry. 2 teams that had good seasons and then big spending off seasons, and yet both right now have losing records. The Mets have the biggest payroll in baseball history, while the Padres skyrocketed to number 3 overall. Yet they sit 6 and 7 games out of the final playoff spot. Baseball is a confounding sport. Just when you think you can overpower it with money, a mystifying malaise has its day. And it's more than just those 2. How about this? The top 4 clubs in payroll. There they are. What do they have in common? Coming out of the All-Star break, they are not in playoff position. That's right. Even with 6 teams per league making the playoffs, the Mets, Yanks, Padres, Phillies are on the outside looking in. The top 4, and if you include the Angels, 5 of the top 6 not in playoff position. There's a lesson in there somewhere, but that's for another day. Number 2, there's no getting past it. Biggest revelation, Showtime. Shohei Ohtani, already doing historic things, has dominated this season. Started in the WBC. Many pitchers chose to save their arms and stay in spring training. Ohtani chose to play both ways for Japan. He was a hitting star, had a good start, and then in a climactic moment, struck out Mike Trout to beat Team USA and win the WBC championship. You can't do much more than that. But this season, he has. He leads the league in OPS plus. Leads the league in homers, triples, total bases. He's also pitched 100 innings with a 3.32 ERA. He's the number 1 hitter in baseball, and he's a top 20 pitcher. And he's going to be a free agent. He somehow has exceeded his own standards for historic greatness. Now, in most years, Ohtani's performance would be, easily the number 1 revelation of the first half. But something bigger has happened to baseball. The sport itself has changed. After years of an inexorable slide towards sloth, bang, one time, one thing, years in the making, and we have an action-packed sport again. I cannot emphasize this enough. I will not bury the lead. Major League Baseball took 26 minutes of dead time per game and got rid of it. And the shortening of the games is a secondary characteristic. The primary benefit is the way the game moves. You have to pay attention to it. That's a game. You need to no multitask anymore or you will miss the game. And before we start to take this for granted, remember how many years it took to get this in place. Don't forget that. So many factions fought this move. And yet here it is. And it's great. It's happening. Again, a lesson to be learned beyond baseball. Things can be fixed. And yes, things can get better. Would the sport be better with the ball in play a little more? Yeah. Fewer strikeouts? Yeah. But one thing at a time. This is seismic. Historian John Thorne told us on this show a few weeks back, baseball was once called the lightning sport because it was so much faster than cricket. A lot of people don't think of it that way. This is Elly De La Cruz playing pitch timer baseball, and it feels like the lightning sport is back.